When I come to this fairgrounds, I'm reminded of what some of the people from the state fair have said, that this is the most beautiful fairgrounds in the state of Utah. I think with the trees, with its history, with everything that we've had, it's just a fantastic place for us to gather. And that's what fairs are about. And I think back in the early days of, a lot of the fair tradition was brought over from places in Europe, and they started in Massachusetts in the early 19th century. And so at the time that the Cache County Fair was started, I'm reminded of a quotation that was written about 50 years later, closer to 60 years later. There's Thomas Wolfe, the novelist. He had a contract to write a history of the national parks in the West. And in the summer of 1938, in the middle of the Depression, he came into Cache County. And this is what he said. And down the canyons toward Logan, he's coming from Brigham City, and now the greatest beauty of the day, the swift mounting up the canyon among bold and greening knobs, a sense of grandeur, sweetness, and familiarity, and suddenly, cupped in the rim of bold hills, a magic valley, plain, flat as a floor, and green as heaven and more, fertile and more ripe than the promised land, then down and winding down the lovely canyon with cattle, horses, and houses sheltered by the trees, and then below the most lovely and enchanted valley of them all, the great valley around Logan, a valley that makes all that has gone before fade to nothing. Thomas Wolfe died 2 months later, and it was published, the whole story, in a book called Western Journals. But that's what I think of when I read about how Jim Bridger advised people to come here, because it's the water. And whenever I wander through the streets of Logan or Providence on my hikes every day and see the water going down the gutters and then blocked off going into the backyards for the gardens and the irrigation, that helps me think about the fair. Because in my background, the fair meant in the middle of the summer, toward the end of the summer, a gathering to celebrate the harvest, to celebrate before the kids had to go back to school, for some of us to get 3 days off from paying. But it also involves a history and a legacy of a combination of people in the community coming together. And I think Cache Valley epitomizes this more than others because of the relationship that the county and the state have with the land-grant college, because at the university, when it got extension, then they took over 4-H. And 4-H, which is a great tradition of all county fairs. And then with federal money, FFA came in, and then later FHA. And with the talents that were being developed among the school children to go with what was normally taught on the farm. And for me, the thing about a county fair was always about horses. Because my dad had a pulling team, and we'd get them match team contests, individual horses, and if things went well at the end of the fair, there might be a little check or two. But I want you to be reminded during this time when there's transition and change that some of the buildings are replaced and things like that, the heart and soul of a community is often dictated by how the people respond to each other. And a fair brings us together. I'm reminded most importantly of the fairs in 1917 and again in 1942, because that's when suddenly, and if you go down to the courthouse, you can see the names of those people from the county who gave their last full measure in World War I and World War II. But during those times, the fairs had a great and greater meaning because everyone was in a condition of sacrificing and helping and doing what they could to make Cache County, Utah, and the United States survive. So thank you very much and enjoy the fair.
Move the mic stand forward off the side.
Over there, send the words everywhere. We'll be over time.
I'm Connie. I'm Julie.
And we're the
Benson sisters. Today we're excited to be here to celebrate the 139th anniversary of the Cache County Fair.
And to announce the construction of the new event center here at the fairgrounds.
Thank you all for coming.
The song we just sang was popular in the 1900s, a time when America's music began to reflect the unrest of World War I. George M. Cohan wrote that catchy little tune.
The words and music to Over There inspired many men to enlist in the military. Cohan was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. His music united and inspired America. He became a musical legend when he wrote this next tune, You're a Grand Old Flag.
Cheer so loud that everyone hears us when we see you on display. You're the spirit of hope and liberty. You make us feel like shouting hooray. Red, white, and blue, we pledge allegiance to you. We love the colors of the USA. Waving proud and free for all the world to see. We will always lead the way. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag.
Sing along! Yes, sing along if you know the words.
You're the emblem of the land we love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Brothers never up or sworn pride. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eyes on the grand old flag. America, America, sweet land of liberty. Stand firm and strong and sing your song from sea to shining sea. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land we love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue, where there's never a worse war pride. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eyes on the grand old flag. Keep your eyes on the grand old flag. September 1st, 1939 marked the beginning of World War II. It was a time when America needed a lift, needed hope, needed a distraction to make it through the dark days of war. Well, Glenn Miller's music filled that need, and he quickly became a music icon for an entire generation.
His hit tunes included Moonlight Serenade, String of Pearls, and many others. One tune, In the Mood, topped the charts for 13 straight weeks in 1940 and was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Even a tune he wrote about a telephone number of his hotel in New York City became a huge hit. Pennsylvania 65000. Who's heard of it? Yeah, it's a good one, right? I would like to honor Captain Glenn Miller. This is the Cache County Big Band, Cache Community Big Band, playing Pennsylvania 65000 and In the Mood.
Give him a round of applause.
Go ahead and take your mics off with you.
Thank you, band. Don't they sound great? Give another hand for the band. Woo-hoo! Well, we'd like to sing you another iconic World War II classic. I'm sure you'll know it when you hear it. And we got our bugle boy over there. Clap along.
He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago Bay. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man of his craft. The band was not came off, but he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. They really brought him down because he couldn't jam. They have to seem to understand. Because the next day the cat went out and dropped with a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy. Come on, get up and dance. I want to see it. A toodly-odd, he goes the day to the bar. The boogie rhythm, the cat blowing note, and that's the bass and guitar is playing with him. Yeah, get back there, good job. Because the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy company B. He was some boogie woogie bugle boy company B. And when he plays boogie woogie bugle, he is busy as a buzzing bee. And when he plays, he makes the company jump and eat to the bar. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy company B. Da 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 yada da yada do do. He goes the day to the bar. He can't blow a note, the guitar playing with him. He makes the company jump when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy company B. He puts the boys to sleep with boogie every night. I raise them up and say we're in the early ride. They clap their hands and stamp their feet. Because they don't know the place where someone gives them a beat. They really breaks it up when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy company B. A doodly out, a doodly goes and eight to the bar. The boogie rhythm, can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing away. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy company B. Da 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 da. And when he plays, he makes the company jump and leap to the bar. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy company B.
That was awesome, you guys. I love seeing the dance, and that was great. Thanks for singing out there. Good job. Good to see you. Imagine going into a hostile country, lightly armed, and with very few men. That's just what our men in special forces do. They're usually the first ones into war, and often the last ones out. What they do is so secret. They never get the recognition they deserve. We'd like to dedicate this next number to Special Forces and as a tribute to all military. Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men of the green
the Green Beret. Silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret. Back at home, a young wife waits. Her Green Beret has met his fate. He has died for those oppressed, leaving her his last request. Put silver wings on my son's chest. Make him one of America's best. He'll be the one they'll test one day. Make him win the Green Beret.
On June the 1st, 1945, the Herald Journal on its front page noted that 400 German prisoners of war will be quartered at a prisoner of war camp now being completed in the Logan Fairgrounds, according to an announcement by Colonel Arthur J. Erickson, prisoner of war camp commander at the U.S. ASF depot. The prisoners will be used in agricultural work in Cache County, particularly in sugar beet fields, and will be under the overall supervision of the Utah Depot Prisoner of War Camp. According to local officials, the fairground camp will be ready to receive the prisoners early next week, so the prisoners should be available for work shortly thereafter. The Army will take full responsibility for all the security measures in guarding the prisoners, both in camp and while working in the fields. Floodlights and guard towers have been constructed at the camp, and a detachment of American military personnel will be on duty at all times to administer the camp and provide proper security measures. American guards will accompany the prisoners to the fields. Prisoners of war labor is paid for by the using agency at the standard rate of free civilian labor. These funds are paid into the United States Treasury and are used to defray expenses of maintaining prisoner of war camps. So in 1945, a new building was constructed. Old buildings renovated and tent platforms made, costing $29,150 to provide facilities for 550 German and Austrian prisoners of war that were sent to Cache Valley. The All-Austrian Volunteer Company came to Logan from Arizona. These prisoners of war thought Logan more beautiful than Arizona, believing Cache Valley to be quite green. However, when transferred to California, they preferred picking oranges to topping sugar beets. They also liked lounging in orange groves and watching automobiles pass by on the highways. These prisoners of war wanted to explore Cache Valley's mountains and thought the American captain of Logan lacked an understanding and was unnecessarily strict when he would not allow the prisoners of war to do so. Cache Valley's people, learning the details for the first time, many of them, of what life was like in German concentration camps, had trouble accepting the German prisoners of war. But they did learn to live with them. American officials made careful observations regarding prisoner of war eating habits and published the prisoner of war menu and messing guide. Prisoners of war like cooked cereal for breakfast. They like cornflakes for breakfast. They like coffee cake for breakfast, not all the same time. They like bread and jam for breakfast and marmalade too. And they also like their coffee. They did not want to have eggs for breakfast, nor did they want to have hot cakes nor French toast. Cocoa was not served for breakfast because it required too much milk and sugar was rationed. German prisoners of war ate leafy greens, salads, and lettuce and cabbages. They consumed 1 pound of potatoes per meal. They also liked cow stomach, which was cut into fine pieces and then seasoned. The camp had a shop room where prisoners could purchase goods paid for by coupon books and ration cards. Soap costing 10 cents a bar. Tobacco was 13 cents a pack. And apple pies could be purchased, as well as bottles of milk for 10 cents. They could purchase combs, towels, thread, and underwear. The camp here on the fairgrounds had floodlights, guard towers, and guards accompanied the prisoners into the fields and often used sign language to communicate. The local farm labor supervisor was Benny J. Ravstein, and he was the first contact for farmers who wanted to use the labor of these prisoners of war. And they were paid the premium that paid the minimum wage or standard wage. 190 prisoners from Ogden were transferred to Logan to assist in thinning sugar beets. Thinning was slowed in June by a record rainfall. Also, there was some frost damage on June 14th. But by June the 30th, 540 prisoners of war were working in the fields of Cache Valley. And on June the 30th, Ravstein reported that still only 50% of the beets were thinned, which was quite a large number to remain to be thinned at that late date. On October 6, 1946, 350 prisoners of war began harvesting sugar beets with the help of school children who were out for beet vacation. They harvested 80,000 tons, which were processed in sugar beet factories. There's a picture on display of 7 trucks in a row loaded with sugar beets in front of the Lewiston sugar beet factory, ready to be processed. The 1946 September was cool and wet. I was glad to find this out because I remembered from my own time frame seeing a large sugar beet truck stuck in Cornell Buxton sugar beet field, and he had to get his team of pulling horses out to pull the truck from the field. Prisoners of war learned a new vocabulary: topping knife, hoe, go-bedevil, beet fork, beet wagon, beet truck, sugar beet factory, beet pulp, beet tops, thinning beets, pulling doubles. Thinners were judged on how well their rows looked after they had finished a row and how few doubles there were still left in that row. This sugar beet harvest provided a good fall job for farmers who worked many who worked in sugar beet factories. Also gave children a chance to earn money for winter clothes. And maybe should also be noted there was a Mexican labor camp located in Amalga during this same time frame. These prisoners of war that served here in the Cache Valley were real people. They wrote letters home, kept diaries, filled out reports, and expressed some fear as they worked for their enemy. They left behind sufficient evidence of their stay in Cache Valley that Utah historian Kent Powell was able to write a large book dealing with their American experience. I have a memory of my wife telling me of a prisoner of war picking cherries in Ogden and picking up my wife's blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby brother and experiencing a brief touch of emotion, perhaps remembering a family member in Germany. I remember, too, prisoners of war cheering as Colonel Buxton's horses lunged again as they pulled the loaded beet truck from the mud of the field to a paved road. These Germans seemed as proud of the Buxton team as was I. I hope that some remembered with fondness that the people in Cache Valley were kind and nice to an enemy so far from home. Perhaps these prisoners left taking just a bit of Cache Valley with them, never to be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth Godfrey, for that tribute to our prisoners of war. From the barbershop tunes of the 1800s, America's music underwent quite a change to the rock and roll and disco music of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Music that reflected a changing America. The musical, Grease, depicts what life was like in the 1950s. A song from that movie became one of the best-selling singles of all time. In just a moment, you will enjoy dancers from Enlight Ballroom performing to You're the One That I Want. But first, we want to acknowledge one of the most significant cultural icons of the 20th century, often referred to as the King of Rock and Roll, or simply the King. Elvis Presley had a lot to do with the change that was taking place in America in the 1950s. Here to perform two of his hit songs, please welcome Maxx Tuescher as Elvis Presley.
I'll make it work. Sweet, never let me go. For you make my life complete, and I love you so. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. Love me tender, love me long. Take me to your heart, for it's there that I belong, and we'll never part. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. Love me tender, love me dear. Tell me you are mine. I'll be yours through all the years, till the end of time. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. How many of you guys recognize that song? Well, if you didn't recognize that one, you will recognize this one. This one's called Jailhouse Rock. Going through a party at the county gym. The prison band was there, they began to wail. The band was jumping and the joy began to swing. You should have heard the knocked out jailbird saying, let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Spider Murphy played the tenor saxophone. Little Joey blowing on a slide trombone. The drummer boy from Illinois would crash boom bang. The whole rhythm section was the Purple Gang. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Number 47 said to number 3, you're the cutest jailbird I ever did see. I'll show a beat a lottie with the company. Come on, let's do the jailhouse rock with me. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. I want to see some dancing. okay. The sun's like we're sitting on a block of stone, way over in the corner, weeping all alone. The woods, anybody, don't you be no square. If you can find a party, use a wooden chair. Let's rock, everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Shifty said the bus, for heaven's sake. Well, no one's looking out for just to make a break. Well, Buddy turned to Shifty and he said, Nix, Nix, I wanna stick around while I get my kicks. Let's rock, everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Dancing to the jailhouse rock. Dancing to the jailhouse rock. Dancing to the jailhouse rock.
You'll want to move that mic stand off to the stage right side.
Let's sing all of them at once.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream, making the cutest that I've ever seen. Giving tulips like roses and clover, and tell him that his lonesome nights are over. Sandman, I'm so alone, don't have nobody to call my own. Please turn on your magic beam, Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Bum 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 bum. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream, make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him the word that I'm not a rover, and tell him that his lonesome nights are over. Sandman, I'm so alone, don't have nobody to call my own. Please turn on your magic beam, Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Bum 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 bum. Mr. Sandman, bring us a dream, give him a pair of eyes with the familiar gleam, give him a lonely heart like Pagliacci, and lots of wavy hair like Liberace. Mr. Sandman, someone to hold, will not so pretty before we're too old. So please turn on your magic beam, Mr. Sandman, bring us, please, 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 Mr. Sandman, bring us a
Thank you so much. Well, after rock and roll and the ballads of the 50s came the disco of the 1970s.
This next tune depicts a visit to the disco. The music video on YouTube had more than 176 million views as of May of this year. Here's Dancing Queen.
Okay, guys, we want you all to get on up
Yeah,
and dance
sing
with us,
along.
okay? You all know the words, right?
If you have to Google the words, Google them and
Yeah,
get up and
yeah,
dance. We want to see you dancing.
Put your
Definitely.
disco
All the young
on,
kids
baby.
can hit it.
All the young kids can come on up, and we would love to see it, okay? Here we go.
Get your groove on.
All right.
Young kids, get up here. Come on, come on. We want to hear you singing. You can dance, you can jive, having the time of your life. Ooh, see that
So much energy there. Whew. I gotta follow that. To bring us to the present, we present dancers from Enlight Ballroom, Cache Valley's award-winning ballroom dance studio, specializing in youth competitive formation team ballroom dancing, and also offering adult social ballroom classes. The youth dancers have recently returned from a tour to New York City, where they performed on Broadway and received training from Disney and Broadway professionals. Here's Enlight Ballroom with a Charleston and Broadway cha-cha combination to the music of Aaron Chupa, Little Swing featuring Little Miss Sis Nora.
Jackson the Willow, I love you!
Her knees, feet, and it's been so much fun looking back at all the music that could have been performed right here at the fair over the last 139 years.
We look forward to seeing the future of the Cache County Fair, and excited that future includes a new edition of an events center.
To conclude today's program, we turn to the timeless tune written by the great Irving Berlin while he served in the U.S. Army. This beloved tune has become the unofficial anthem of America. The lyrics, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer and stand beside her and guide her in the night, are expressions that tell us, God bless America, is a prayer put to music. The words are as relevant today as they were back in 1918. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices
in a solemn prayer.
We invite everyone to join in singing in the chorus, God Bless America.
It has been a real pleasure to work with this event. We'd like to thank everyone who participated. Would you please hold your applause until they're all introduced? So when I read your name, just step forward so we'll know who you are. Rachel Worthen, she did the piano solo. Ross Peterson, Ken Godfrey, Maxx Tuescher, Enlight Ballroom dancers. Where'd you go? There's some of them over there. We don't know who they went. The Barbershop Quartet. Singing for cash. There's Curtis Wood. Where's the rest of them, David? Okay. That Wade Miller, Sam Winward, and David Gardner. And the Benson sisters from River Heights, Connie Stocks, Julie Sergopoulos, and Lisa Benson. Thank you. And we want to give another thank you to the Cache Community Big Band. And folks, this program wouldn't have been possible today without the help and support of our County Council member, Gina Worthen. We'll turn the time over to Gina. Thank you.
Thank you, and it really wouldn't have been anything without Brenda Anthony. She made this all possible, so thank you, Brenda. Big round of applause for her and her expertise. I also want to mention Casey Saxon and Darren Smith, because they're also part of the committee that helped put this together. They're just not here. Finally, before we go, today I have three things. I want to mention that we will have tours of the buildings, 3 of the buildings that are coming down at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock with historian Kenneth Godfrey. And he'll give some stories and information about those buildings. It's really fun, so I hope you'll come by and take part in that. Also, after we're done here, the Cache Wind Symphony is going to play, so we're going to add some more members, and they're going to play some awesome more music for us, so I hope you'll stick around for that. And then finally, today we have a really special recognition, and I will turn the time to Executive Craig Butters to do that.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Let's have another round of applause for all of those that have been involved today. Thank you very much. On behalf of Cache County, I want to make a presentation. I'm looking for our fair chairman and our county clerk, Jill Zollinger. Is Jill here? And Kim Gardner, are they here? Okay, I have a special presentation that we were hoping to be able to make to them today. I would just like to point out, and I'll do a little bit of an explanation here. With the
here they are.
Are they back
They're
here?
here.
Okay,
Yep.
it looks like they're here. We'll get them up here on stage. All right, just in the nick of time, it looks like. You know, since we've been talking a lot about history and we've been reliving some of the history of the fair, I'd like to give you a little bit of history of the management of the fair. In 1990, Cache County Executive Seth Allen was looking for someone to be chairman of the fair. And so at this time, he called upon Stephen Erickson, who was the county clerk, to take the reins of the fair and brought it into the clerk's office. Now this time, Jill Zollinger was working in the clerk's office, and she was, I guess you could say, lassoed into the job. Come on up here, Jill. Okay. Now is Kim here too? Kim, yes. Come on up here, Kim. Okay. So Jill was kind of lassoed at that time in about 1990. She worked with the county clerk, Stephen Erickson. And then a few years later, Kim Gardner came in to the picture, and she went to work in the clerk's office. And so since that time, they've kind of been the dynamic duo as far as managing the fair. We consider it, and we feel like we not only have one of the best fairground facilities in the state, but we also have one of the best county fairs in the state. We appreciate all the work that they do. Yes, so let's give them a round of applause. That's very good. So believe it or not, what you see here actually is a year-long process. It takes a year to do all the planning and coordinating and scheduling. So as soon as the fair is over with, then the plans will have to be made for next year's fair. These two have pulled off brilliantly, working with the county fair for the last almost 3 decades, and they've done an excellent job. So not only have Jill and Kim managed the fair, but they've had additional responsibilities in the clerk's office, and they've been able to hold all of those things together in addition to putting on the fair each year. Their ability to manage the fair successfully over this long period of time is a tribute to their service and to their dedication to the county and the citizens of the county. So it's largely a thankless job that they have, but we want them to know that we appreciate all that they have done. Them and their families pretty much spend the whole time down here during the fair each year and for the week leading up to the fair. Not only do they take charge of advertising, they do coordinate with the rodeo chairman with the fairground supervisor, Bart Esplin. They also work with USU Extension and the Sheriff's Office to make all of these things run off smoothly. Also, they work with tickets and coordinating with all of the other departments. All the departments that you see here, including the livestock, the community arts, the home arts, and all of those things are coordinated through their office. I've got a whole list of things that they do, and I'm sure that it's not even complete. But in conclusion, I'd just like to express my appreciation on behalf of the county to Jill Zollinger and Kim Gardner for the work that they've done in planning and preparing the fair. As we've talked about, these buildings will be coming down with a new event center. We're also going to bring in new management of the fair in the coming year. So this will be the last year that they will be doing that here at the fair. Once again, let's give them a round of applause. I do have a plaque for them.
Speech!
Okay, the plaque that I have in recognition of your years of service and outstanding service in the management of the Cache County Fair from 1990 to 2017. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have enjoyed doing this, and it has been a family affair for us. But we appreciate all of you coming because when you put on a party, you want to have people come.
Thanks for coming, everyone.